Sheffield is here, and we thank them for highlighting some of the concerns about the inequalities in our society. People are angry. Even people that are not used to being angry are angry about societal issues. They are angry about greed and about jobs and the blatant deceit of the heads of states. Occupy Wall Street has gone global, and rightly so. Disabled people in our society are being abused. This protest is personal. Occupy movement and the Hardest Hit campaign are coming together because they have common themes: a search for fairness in our society and an equal playing field where disabled and vulnerable people are not seen as scroungers, as the media would have us believe. This is a direct attack on disabled people and our human rights, and our welfare is sacrificed at the expense of the government balancing their books. Atos is making money out of disabled people. £100 million a year they're being paid to do the assessments on whether people should be allowed to have to make them go back to work. Because of the media attention, the negative media attention on disabled people, hate crime in our society against disabled people has trebled. People cannot afford to put their heating on and are having to make decisions about whether to heat or eat. We should not be living in a society where executive directors of gas and electric companies are being paid £1.9 million per year when disabled people are having to sleep in one room.
Hey.
Woo! This is not a question of who suffers the most. This is not a competition. The fact remains that disabled people are the group of people that have been hit the hardest. Being disabled is not an option. It is not a choice, and the media will have us believing that the cuts, well, like the media will have you believe the cuts are doing the most damage, and this has been levelled clearly at the most disadvantaged. Osborne's 20% of the budget for DLA mobility payments, it was going to cut them for residential care. We have a victory from protesting. Yesterday we heard that they have now revoked on taking mobility component away from people who live in residential care that have a right not to be locked away where nobody can see them. They have a right to go out into the community and be part of our community. We have another victory, and this is the power of protesting. That Lloyds TSB announced that they will get Eric Daniels to pay back his £1.5 million bonus for the cock-up that they made. These are small steps that these protests are making. We are making a difference, and we have to keep going. I know the rain's here, but so is the shit, and we will continue as disabled people and vulnerable people to fight for our rights. We cannot physically be down in camp, but we are here and we have a voice, and we are angry.
Welcome to everybody. It's really great to see people here on a horrible wet day. I'm from the Green Party. I'm a councillor, and one of the Green Party slogans is "Fair is worth fighting for."
Yay.
Fair is worth fighting for. I want to ask the question, why is it important that we are celebrating and marking International Day of the Disabled here at the occupation? Why are the two things connected? So around the occupation, probably some of you know that we're putting a motion to full council next week asking the council to congratulate and support the occupation's right to protest. So since that's been happening, I've been down here a bit and thinking a lot about what the occupation stands for. And I think there's really three things that the occupation stands for. The first is saying that we really hate the inequalities in the world. We hate the way that the rich are getting away with so much and trashing the environment and hurting people and planet. So it's about inequalities. The second thing that I think the occupation is saying, it's calling for accountability. It's calling on politicians to hold big business and the ultra-rich to account. And it's calling on politicians to be accountable. It's saying the world is a mess and the current political system has not sorted it. The third thing that the occupation is doing, it's not so much saying, it's doing. It's saying we're looking at other ways of organising ourselves. This is it, this is here. This is the way we want to be. So we're exploring, we're talking, we're making a space to look at new ways. So that's what the occupation is doing. And let's congratulate the occupation. They've been here 4 weeks now. That's fantastic. So I think there's really strong parallels between what the occupation is doing and what disabled people are doing. As we've just heard from Catherine, disabled people are the hardest hit. If we're talking about inequalities, then disabled people are some of those who are really the hardest hit, who are at the lowest end when we talk about the ultra-rich and the very poor. Disabled people will suffer most from the cuts. There's a guy called Simon Duffy who runs something called the Campaign for a Fairer Society. He's going to be coming to speak to the AGM of the Green Party next week. And he's got some very, very hard-hitting figures. He's saying that a quarter of the cuts are falling on just 3% of the people. And those 3% are the very poorest and include most of the disabled. Disabled people are hardest hit before they even start. Because if you're disabled, just to do the ordinary things, your ordinary activities of daily living, getting up in the morning, getting dressed, getting washed, having something to eat, even before you start to go out to study or to work and lead a normal life, you need a hand up just to do that. So disabled people are the hardest hit. If we're talking about inequalities, then let's talk about disabled people. Secondly, accountability. And I think here again, disabled people have a lot to say and a lot to teach us. Disabled people are those who are so easy to ignore, to pretend that they're not there. When I was speaking on Radio Sheffield a couple of days ago, the item before me, they were talking about a survey that had been done, where 2/3 of the general public was saying that they find it difficult to talk to disabled people. And 1/3 of the general public was saying that they think disabled people are a burden on society. So it's very easy to dismiss disabled people and for them to be invisible and not to be accountable to them. So that whole issue about accountability is really, really important in this campaign. And then the third thing is about doing things differently. And this is something that I felt more and more strongly within the Green Party, that we've got members of the Green Party who are disabled and a lot of people in the Green Party who work closely with disabled people. And those people are really challenging us as a group in the way that they challenge the whole of society to say, look, if you want us to be part of your movement, if you want us to be part of your party, you've got to start doing things in a different way. You've got to make sure that all your meetings are in accessible places. You've got to communicate in a way that is easy and clear to understand for everybody. And you've got to involve us and do things in a different way. So like the occupation, They're calling for us and for society as a whole to do things in new and different imaginative ways, and that will help us all. So congratulations to the disabled people and everyone else who's pulled this together today. There's a real fight going on about the support that people get at home. There's a guy called Michael Toole, you may have heard about, who's a barrister. He's disabled himself, he's got multiple sclerosis, and he's taking out a legal case against the council for putting up the cost of his daily care. He's saying, why should I pay 12,000, 18,000 just to have the help I need to get up in the morning and get out to work? So let's wish him well, let's wish him victory. And the biggest victory is just to be here. This is amazing, to be out on the streets, to be standing alongside the occupiers, to be here on the streets in Sheffield, by the tram stop, by the bus stops, making ourselves visible, standing together. That in itself is a victory. So I say, fair is worth fighting for. Thank you.
As the councillor said, today is the International Day of Disability, and we have to remember that that is also a celebration, that it's a day of celebration, that it's a day to remember what the disability rights movement have achieved over the past 40 years. The disability rights movement was born out of the veterans movement in the United States of America and has developed into a modern rights movement that, asks for the rights of disabled people, asks for equality for disabled people. And so while we have to celebrate today, while we have to remember all that we've achieved, we have to also remember and recognise, as I'm sure we do as we're feeling the cold, that we are out here outside Sheffield Cathedral at Occupy Sheffield, asking why, in the economic climate, in the economic turndown, disabled people were amongst the first group of people in society that the government wanted to shoot in the back. I'm no Labour supporter, but after years of welfare getting better for disabled people, after moves towards getting disabled people achieving equal rights in employment, we are facing a situation where that could all be taken away, where that could be destroyed, and we can't allow that to happen.
Have no support, no help, no nothing. I can't cope with that. I can't cope with that. What am I supposed to do? Because I'm articulate, because I can speak.